So again, solving equations. Anytime I'm asking you to solve an equation, you're going to be doing some working backwards, okay? You're going to be trying to undo something, which means you're using sort of the SADMAT process, okay? And try to figure out what the variable is. Now, radicals can be weird, and sort of that's the theme of this whole chapter, is that there are weird things that happen with radicals. Remember all that stuff we talked about with negatives, about like sometimes negatives don't work? Sometimes you can get two different answers for something, like the square root of 16 could be 4 or negative 4. So there are some weird things that happen with radicals where there are some things that are like off limits. And because of that, when you're solving these, you can get what's called an extraneous solution, okay, which makes this very frustrating, or it can be very frustrating. So first let's write down what an extraneous solution is. An extraneous solution is a solution that does not actually make your equation true. Solution that does not actually make an equation true. That can happen with these. So you might solve one of these equations, do the whole thing correctly. I mean, it's not that you made a mistake. You did the entire thing correctly, get an answer, and when you plug it back in, it doesn't actually work. Okay? That happens sometimes. It's not often, but sometimes. Okay? For that reason, it is critical that you check your answers to these equations. I've always suggested that to you when you're equation solving. I've always said, like, hey, plug your answer back in and see if it works. With these, you must. Because if you don't, and it's an extraneous solution, you're going to get your answer wrong, even if you did all of your steps correctly. Okay? So I'll show you what that looks like today. But you are going to have to get good at putting these into your calculator to check. Okay. So you don't have to write this next part down. I just want you to think back with me. When we solved equations like this, like x squared equals 16, how did we get rid of that square?
Square root.
Square root, right? Because square and square roots are opposite of one another. Okay? So a square root gets rid of a square. Well, what if you had this? What if you had the square root of x equals, I don't know, 10? How could you get rid of a square root? Square, because squaring is opposite from square rooting. Okay? What about if you had a cube root?
Cube it.
You would cube it. What if you had a fourth root?
Fourth it.
Fourth it. Raise it to the fourth power. Okay? So that's sort of the theme of the day, is you're going to be using all your old equation solving steps, and the only new thing is to get rid of a root, to get rid of like a fourth root or a fifth root, you're going to raise to that power. But usually you do that right at the very end. Okay? So like the first one, I have the cube root of x is equal to 5. How do I get rid of that cube root? Raise to the power 3. Yep, cube it. So I'm going to raise 5 to the power of 3. This is going to cancel out. And so x is going to equal 125. Good. Okay. Now we need to check that that answer actually works. Okay. So the way we do that is in our calculator, we type in the cube root of 125. I'm taking that back from this original equation. And I want to see, does it come out to equal 5? Do you know how to type cube roots in your calculator?
Yes.
Okay. In case you don't remember, you're going to type the 3. And then you want to use the x root symbol. Okay. Hello.
Hi, Devin.
Devin. The x root symbol, if you're using a scientific calculator, is usually like a second something, usually right near your square root key. Okay. If you're using the graphing calculator, you'll have to hit math, and then I think it's option number 5. Okay.
Can you show it up there?
I can try. With one of those?
Yeah.
I don't have one of those up here. Do you want to bring me yours and I'll show it real quick? I've given all of mine away.
Equal to 5.
Thanks. Okay, so something like this, I would type the 3. Guys, can you cut the conversation back there? And then if you look up above the caret key, there's a button that looks like a square root symbol, but it's got an X next to it. That's the one you're going to hit. Okay? And then I would type in the 125.
Oh, I knew that.
Okay?
You picked
And
that
I
number at random, right?
picked what number?
125?
Nope, that was the answer I got when I solved over here. Okay? Okay. So
Okay.
in one of those, Devin, you would type the 3 and then go to the math button and look for that button that looks like a X with a square root sign attached. I think it's number 5. And then type in the 125. Okay? We should get 5. And we did get 5. So that means this answer works, that 125 is our correct answer. Okay? Let's look at number 2. Before you get crazy and start raising to the 5th power, what do you want to get rid of? Okay, so let's subtract the 12. Yep. So I end up with the 5th root of t is equal to negative 3. Raised to the power of 5. And of course in your calculator you're going to remember that since that's negative, it's got to be in parentheses when you raise it to the power of 5. I get t equals
This one doesn't work.
negative 243. Okay, let's talk about how you're typing it in your calculator real quick.
No, I mean, I got the answer, but it's not done.
Like it doesn't work? Like when you plug it back in? Okay, so when you type it in, I would type in 12 plus the 5 and then the x root key. Okay? I'm not sure how your calculators handle this, but just to be safe, because that's a negative number, I would put that in parentheses. And we would want it to equal 9. Does it equal 9?
No.
Yes.
Okay. I think it should.
Sure does.
I got a negative 3 again.
Okay, let's check this out. All right. Compare what your screen looks like with what I'm about to type in. So I'm going to type 12 plus
You did 12 plus?
the fit. Yep, because that was part of my original equation.
That's what I did.
Okay, that's what you forgot. 12 plus 5, and then math with the x root of negative 243. If your calculator's doing something like this where it lets you type underneath the radical, you probably won't need parentheses. But yeah, it should be 9. Dee, did you figure out what you were doing? Does yours look like mine? That's how you want to type it in. Okay. You good? Okay. All right, on the bottom, what do you want to get rid of first? Okay, the 5 is stuck inside the radical, so I can't take it out until I get rid of the radical. Let's divide by 2. This is like 2 times the square root, so let's get rid of the 2. So now I have the square root of g minus 5 is equal to 5. Now there's no number here, so how do I know what power to raise it to?
2.
Okay, it's a square root, right? So I would raise it to the power of 2, raise this to the power of 2. Now what you have to watch out for is you're going to end up with g minus 5 equals 25. And usually at that step we're done, but because we had some other stuff going on under here, we're going to need to do something else. We have one more step. Add 5, good. Yep. So g equals 30. So in our calculator to check this, I would say 2 times just a regular square root. And then in parentheses, anytime you're putting more than one thing under a radical in your calculator, you should probably put it in parentheses. The newer calculators, you can get away without it. But I would type in 30 minus 5. I should get 10. Do I get 10? Okay, so this one works. G equals 30 is our answer. Good. D, question. Where does the 5 go? You good? Okay. Good so far? They get a little harder, but this is Most of them are going to be about in that range that we just did. Okay, I tried to put some of the harder ones back here in the back, but. Okay, number 4. Says 6 times the 4th root of m squared equals 12. So if we were undoing this piece by piece, which piece should we get rid of first?
Yeah.
I agree, let's get rid of the 6. So 4th root of m squared equals 2. Okay? Now what? Okay, not 4th root it, because it's 4th rooted right now. So I want to raise to the power of 4. Yep. Power of 4, guys. So m squared equals 2 to the 4th power is 16. Now, this you have to be careful about. We're going to take a square root now. When I take a square root in an equation, how many answers do I get?
2.
Okay, so it would be positive 4 or negative 4, right? Which means I need to check both of those answers to see which one works. Okay, so here's how I would type that in. First I would type the 6 times 4 and then the x root button of 2 squared. No, sorry, not 2. 4 was our answer. Okay, so 6 times the 4th root of 4 squared should equal 12. Check it. Does it equal 12?
Yes.
Wouldn't you know which one is the right answer if it's positive or negative? 'Cause, like,
Not necessarily. They can still both be the right answer. Okay. So then I'm going to do 6 times 4 x root of, and of course you're going to put that negative 4 in parentheses. Even if you have a newer calculator that doesn't usually need it, you're going to need it there because you're squaring a negative number. Should come out to equal 12. Does it?
Yes.
Okay, so both of these answers work. I have 2 solutions here. Okay. Number 5. What do you want to get rid of first?
3.
The 3? Okay. Question. How do you type in that last one that I just did? Okay. So it would be 6. Whoops. No, if one of them didn't work, you would just cross off the one that didn't work. Okay. So you would do 6 times 4, and then you've got to hit math and go down to option number 5. That's like, whoops, like that. 6 times 4, option number 5. And so see, when you have that 4 next to that, that's really like putting the 4 up in that spot. Okay, and then I would say 4 squared underneath the radical. And you end up with 12. Okay, so yeah, I think what you're missing is using that x square root button. How do I get rid of that 3? Subtract it. Good. Hey guys, listen up. Be careful on number 5. That 3 is a positive 3. So to get rid of it, I would subtract it. So I end up with the negative 4th root of y is equal to 7. Okay. How do I get rid of that negative sign?
Plus. I have no idea.
That's like a negative 1 hanging out in front of there. So I wouldn't add it, I would. Okay, I heard change all the signs, which actually works. Zach, what did you say? Divide. This is negative 1 times the 4th root of y. So I'm going to divide by negative 1. Now what that's going to do is change all the signs. Okay, so it is okay to kind of take that shortcut. So now I have the 4th root of y equals negative 7. And now is when I would raise to the 4th power. And this is almost always where you're going to end up with some sort of extraneous solution. Okay, so we've got to be careful with this one. When you've got a negative number or a number that has switched signs, and then you're raising it to an even power, it like cancels out that negative that it used to be, and it might mess up your problem. So we're going to have to be careful here.
Negative 2,400.
Okay, did you put that negative 7 in parentheses? Okay, You have to put it in parentheses anytime you raise it to a power, but especially an even power. Because that should come out positive. Yeah, it should be positive 2,401.
Yeah.
To type this in a calculator, I would type 3 minus the 4th root. So I'm going to hit 4 and then math number 5. And the answer I got was 2,401. That should come out to be 10. It does not come out to be 10. Okay? And so this one, even though we did all of this correctly, there was no mistake here. Even though we did all of this correctly, this is actually a no solution.
So this proves that math is wrong sometimes?
Sort of. It's more that that some of these rules, when you flip the negatives around, make the radicals not work so well. Okay? So yes, I suppose it is that math is wrong, that there are some flaws to the system. Okay? But it's more that it's flaws that we're aware of and you can't really fix. Okay? And that's why I tell you that with these you have to check. Okay? You have to check and see if they work. Okay? Last one, number 6. Number 6 probably looks like one of the hardest ones on here. Why is number 6 so much harder?
Because it's got a lot of
Two
steps.
radicals.
Okay, because you've got radicals on both sides, right? Well, let me ask you this. If instead of this crazy nonsense, I had given you g plus 9 equals 4g, what would you have done with that equation?
Combine it.
Combine the g's how?
Divide by
No?
Bye.
I would probably say, okay, this is 1g, and then I would subtract 1g from each side. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
So then I would have 9 equals 3g.
so it would be
Okay.
G 6G.
So, yeah, that's exactly what it's going to be. Over here, I have 1 6th root of g. Over here, I have 4 6th roots of g. So I'm going to subtract a 6th root of g and subtract a 6th root of g. So if I do 4 6th roots of g minus 1 6th root of g, what am I left with?
24.
Hold on. 4 of something minus 1 of something makes 3 of something. So 3 6th roots of g.
I ain't following no more. I'm lost.
Okay, I lost you there.
You lost me.
So I have 4 of this, right? And I want to move this over there with it. I want to combine it.
Yes.
So I'm going to take away 1 of that. If you have 4 apples and you take away 1 apple, what do you have left?
3 apples.
3 apples. Okay, if you have 4 G's and you take away 1 G, you have 3 G's. If you have 4 6th roots of G's and you take 1 6th root of G away, you have 3 6th roots of G left.
You're right. You're right. I see it.
Good. All right. What am I doing now?
Subtract 3.
Not subtract 3. Divide by 3. Because that's 3 times all of that. So you're left with 3 equals the 6th root of G. Now let's raise to the power of 3, or sorry, to the power of 6. Is that 729?
Yes.
Okay. So I have 729 as my answer. To check this one, what I would do is I would do each side separately and just make sure they come out to the same number. So on the left, I would do the 6th root of 729 and then plus 9. Now be careful. If you're on one of these type of calculators, let me show you a common mistake here. I'm going to do the 6th root of 729. That plus 9, I do not want that under the radical. So if I just hit plus 9, the 9 is going to go underneath the radical. I want to make sure that that is out of the radical. So then push the arrow key to come out of it. See how that plus 9 is now not underneath the line? So I push the right arrow key to get out of that. That comes out to be 12. Now let's try this side. So 4 times the 6th root of 729. And I want to know, does that also come out to be 12?
No.
Okay. Kayla, will you put that away? Thank you. So 4 times 6 and then math number 5 of 729. I do also get 12. So because my two sides came out exactly the same, my answer is okay. Kayla? For which one? For this, 4 times 6 root 29?
Oh, I did plus. I remember. You did plus.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Okay. I do expect to see some work shown tonight. What you don't have to show is your checking. Okay? If you want to just type it into the calculator to check, you do not have to write the check part out. But do make sure you do the check, because otherwise you're going to miss some that are extraneous. Okay? All right, let me get homework out to you.